So we can call the meeting to order. Is everyone here that we're going to proceed? Okay, I'd like to call to order. The first question I have before we proceed is what's the definition of, what is the county's accepted definition of a quorum? We have a total of 6 members and we're now at half. So does half constitute a quorum for us to proceed, or does it not?
Page 3 of the bylaws, we have 3 to make it a quorum.
3 is
Yeah, I think so.
quorum.
3 should be good.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll start with an invocation. Let's all please stand. And I like this invocation to be based upon our own private thoughts of what our commitment is to the community, our commitment to the authority, and our commitment also to ourselves. And in honor of our own religious beliefs. A moment of silence. Amen. Let's turn for a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. May be seated. Cecilia, could you do a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. This is a regular meeting of the Water and Wastewater Authority, the 19th of September 2023. In attendance are Chairman Bob Brutemeller,
Here.
William Bozeman,
Here.
Robert Haber,
Here.
Interim Executive Director Steve L. Howard,
Here.
Office of Utility Regulation Consultant Charles J. Howard,
Here.
and we have a quorum.
We have a quorum. Thank you, Cecilia. Okay, on item A4, we have the agenda. And I'd like to make a comment, and then we'll open it up. But the first part of the agenda is a notice to public, and it requires a restriction of 3 minutes for individuals coming up to represent themselves, and 5 minutes for those representing an organization. We've never had this in the past, and I would like to, my opinion is to have this restriction eliminated from this meeting. I think the reason that we have these restrictions of 3 and 5 minutes is so that if there's a very large organization, it could tend to be very time consuming and could get out of hand. Typically, we have had a very limited number of people here, and as chairman, I have the right to, at any point in time, if I feel the conversation is out of hand, to stop that one individual. So my request is to eliminate that notice to the public. I'd like to ask the board members to respond to that, please.
I'll make a motion to accept that. I agree.
You agree?
Yes.
Okay. Lee?
I'll second the motion. I agree.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Sure.
Yes?
I'm not quite sure if, because Denise is not here, maybe we can bring it up with our legal person if that's possible. I'm not 100% sure if that's possible. Or if the authority needs to address it with our legal counsel first. Maybe can we table it for now and then we'll shoot a message to our legal county attorney?
We just need to make sure that it's not something that's actually,
Based on the ordinance.
in the ordinance or in the bylaws or anything like that, and that would just be advice from her to make sure.
Okay, county administrator?
Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it in the bylaws, but I think we could follow. I think what the chair has said. I think today we'll be fine with. I don't imagine we're gonna have folks speaking more than 5 minutes, anyways. I think we'll go back and talk to our county attorney as well, just to make sure that there's nothing in the ordinance. But I think we just go forward with what you said today. So.
Okay, so based upon, I'm gonna go ahead and
Yep.
ask for the vote, and
Yep.
then if it's overthrown, we can retract.
We'll retract it the next meeting. We'll look at that. We'll
it.
study it.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried on the basis that legal will still look at it, and if it's incorrect, we'll retract it.
We'll bring that back.
Okay, the balance of the minutes, I've read it. It looks accurate to me. I'm going to open up to any comments from the 2 board members with us.
I have no comments.
No comments.
Okay. If so, I'd like to ask for a motion to accept the minutes of the last meeting.
So move.
Seconded.
Okay. Any further discussion?
No.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Okay, the next item is open to the public. We're only going to give you 1 minute to talk. No, I'm just kidding. I want to add a little bit of levity to this meeting, okay? We can't always be serious, right? Anyone in the public would like to get up and say a few words. I want to also let you know that the individual issues will also have an opportunity for those companies to get up and also have a comment. Anyone in the public like to get up and say a few words? John?
I just want to make a quick comment, Mr. Chairman. I think it's a good idea that you let people take more than 3 minutes to talk. And sometimes the general public doesn't always, or as prepared as some of us who are here and do this all the time. So I think that's a good idea that, if people have a problem that they can come here and they can speak for 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, getting their issues out. So I applaud you for doing that. That's a good move. And I understand I think that's what you're doing, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
It does remind me of one situation, and some of you were here, that we had a nice elderly lady coming here and she was calling us Nazis. And that was actually very entertaining. But eventually I had to cut her off, but it was an entertaining afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, it gives people a voice. I mean, a lot of times in government, they just think, oh, we're just here, and then you get your 2 minutes of fame and then you go sit down and we don't want to hear you. And you're right. You have the opportunity to stop people whenever they want. So
Sure.
whenever you want. So I like that.
Thanks, John.
Yep.
Anyone else? You're free to get up and tell a joke if you want. I mean, it's okay.
Open
It's
mic, right?
floor.
Open mic.
Open mic. Okay, I think that's going to close the open to the public comments. Now I'm going to read my instructions in red text on a yellow paper. Those of you who have eye problems, looking at red text on a yellow paper is a little bit challenging. You're not allowed to make slanderous remarks. Okay, just remember that, okay? Okay, I'm going to call for one last time. And we're going to close it. And we're going to close the discussion comments. Am I doing okay, Cecilia? Okay. All right, now the next thing we're going to do is okay, we already approved the agenda. We're going to go for the approval of the minutes. This is C1 for the board members. And you had a chance to see this earlier. This is the minutes from August 14th. We're not going to read through it. It was very good actually, because the comments by the individual representatives from the companies were included in the minutes, which is very good. Any comments at all from the board members regarding these minutes? No comments?
I have no comments.
Okay.
I like the format. Well, that would be common. I like
Yeah, the format is very good. I do like the italics portion where you had the two comments. I would like to mention one thing. This is when Marshall Hash was here and we were talking about the amount of delay that we incurred due to two things. It was the end of COVID and also the transition from Randy Oliver to Mr. Steve Howard. We did lose a lot of momentum and time, and it's our effort not to allow that happen again. But Cecilia did a good job. She's saying, Chairman Rudemiller explained that the goal of the Water and Wastewater Authority is to approve the application on a timely basis. That's our goal here. We're very sensitive at. Unfortunately, the authority cannot control a public service commission because they did move slower over the past several years. Randy did make some very considerable gains in expediting their approval of the rate. That was very good of setting the new rate. The chairman also apologized for the delay due to the unfortunate circumstance that had happened in the past, and the chairman stated that moving forward, things will be different. So we're going to try to make sure we do all of this on a timely basis. So. Okay, if there's no corrections or additions to the minutes, I'd like a motion to accept the minutes.
So move.
Seconded.
Okay, any further comments? None? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Guess there can't be anybody opposing. Okay, the approval of the minutes is so approved. We're going to go to item D, D1, and this is items requiring action by the authority. And this is this is an addition to the last presentation from Terrawood Utilities. And this is an overview. Let me read the overview. On July 24th, Terrawood notified the office of its intent to file an application for a limited rate proceeding adjustment for its water and wastewater utilities. Additional filing requirements were received at the office. Regulation completing the minimum filing requirements for these proceedings. The utilities under earning enough that adjustments will not put the system into an over earning posture. Staff feels Terra Utilities application is in line with the authority's goal to have all of the regulated utilities improve their financial ability to maintain their systems as designed. The rate of return and operation costs were authorized in the last rate case, but, and here's the underlying but, operation costs increased, not allowing them to meet all of their costs. I will say as a sidebar, it's the intent of this authority for two things. Number one, that the consumers, we also call them the ratepayers, receive a reasonable rate and not an excessive rate, but a receivable rate for the service of their water and wastewater. But the second thing we have the responsibility to make sure that the companies that are providing that service do provide service, good service, healthy water and processing of wastewater, both on a timely basis, but also we want to make sure that those companies are operating in a healthy manner and they obtain a reasonable profit or return on their effort. So there's a balance between the two, and that's what we try to maintain. And here's a good example of that, because Terra would indicate that operation costs increase, not allowing them to meet their costs. So we have to take that into consideration. And that's what this application is all about. So I'm going to ask John if you have any comments about this application.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick few, as you can see, with inflation happening, our cost to put a meter in has significantly risen up. We have been putting these meters in for more money than what we're allowed to collect. So for the past year and a half or so, we've been coming out of our pocket to put meters in. And so we're asking now, to allow us to collect what it actually costs us to put a meter in. And as you noticed in there, there's a footnote on there that it's in parentheses, and it says $750 per meter or actual cost. Yep. So in the future, moving forward, if our prices go up, we don't have to come back here and say, hey, our prices have gone up by $50. Or if the prices come down, we can go down by showing the receipt. And what we're going to be required to do, I believe, is to the builder or developer, we have to show them the cost of what the meter costs us. So he has to pay that actual cost. So if the meters come down, he'll pay the whatever it is, and if they go up, he'll pay that as well. We don't make any profit on putting meters in or hooking up. That's just the actual raw cost of it. And anything that we pay above and beyond what we're collecting comes from the ratepayers. So they're going to have, it comes out of the pot of money that we collect from them. So it's just kind of making everything, pot right and making it more even across the board. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
I have one. This is for new construction or line extensions only, right?
Just new construction on meters per house.
Right.
Right now, we have, I'm gonna say about 84 homes out there, and they're building new homes. So as new homes come onto the system, we put a meter in, and then they tap into our sewer charges. The meter is what's costing us more money. The installation and the purchasing of the meters is what has gone up. So we're just asking to, be able to recover those actual costs of that. And if you'd like, once a year with my annual report, we can actually show the receipt that those numbers are still what they are, just so you guys can get an idea of, okay, they're staying there, they've come down a little bit or what have you. We don't mind doing something like that if you want us to do that as well.
No question.
Well, I think you're very generous. There is an added cost in my mind for any business. There's an administrative cost for this. And it certainly is very generous, and I'm sure your ratepayers agree that you're just passing the cost through.
That's it. That's all we're doing.
There is a second question in that, and this is not being accusatory at all. This is potentially what happens in business. The rates go up and there's a price decrease, but the companies fail to readjust it downward. So we're leaving this on an honor system that you're going to go ahead, if your meters do go down, that you won't keep it at the same rate.
I have no intentions on doing that. I mean, we've been working together for 14 years now to, get this utility where it is today. And I'm not in it for a $50 money grab. You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
No disrespect to anybody.
No, I'm just pointing out that.
No, if it comes down, we go down. If it goes up, we go up. I have a good working relationship with the HOA. I have a good working relationship with the builder that's out there. Not so much the developer, but the builder, the guy that's actually paying the bill. He and I get along very well. It's all about connections for all of us. I mean, the more connections we get, the more revenue we generate. The more revenue we generate, the more we can bring the rates down to the customers in the long run. They're paying, I think it's $74 and some change, for sewer and water combined together. If we can double how many people we have out there, their rates are going to come down significantly.
So let me just read excuse me, Howard. Go ahead.
I just wanted to, a little bit of feedback as well. Every time that Tarawood has had, a rate case or even price index, they've had meetings every time with the HOA. They let them know ahead. They give them a chance to give input on it. And they've been very transparent the entire time. Whenever there was an issue of it, they would show the receipt to the HOA, and then let them, let the customers know, hey, it's above board. They've showed us the paperwork. It's good to go. So that's why they've had so much support in the past. But I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, and they all know this is coming. I mean, the developer knows, the builder knows, the HOA knows. When I filed this application, I went to them and said, hey, this is what's going on. Communication is the key out there. I mean, when you don't communicate with those folks out there, they don't like that. They get upset, and then they come here and start complaining. So I don't want that. You don't need that. So,
It's very commendable, you, John. It's very, and we have a lot of confidence and trust. How long have you been associated with Tarawood now?
14 years.
14
This
years.
is my 14th year as the owner of it.
That's good. That's
It's gone
good.
quick. But we took it from what, Chuck? It was, I think we had 3 consent orders out there when I bought the utility from DEP to where we are now, to whereas DEP comes out once a year, they do their thing, they're gone. They don't even,
That's good.
they never, they used to be able to find something, they always, we got to find something. They don't find anything,
That's good.
so.
Yeah.
But anyhow,
Well, let me just do this one thing. Is on page 20 for the board members, in the bottom. Go to page 20 of 77. And I'm going to read the whereas,
Okay.
the fourth whereas. Whereas the staff recommends approval of the utilities application, which raises the fee to $750 for a 5/8 by 3/4 tap-in charge. Meter installation to $220 for main extension charge residential per ERC to $465 for plant capacity charge residential per ERC. And 249, water availability charge for readiness to serve residential per ERC per month. That's the essence of what you're going for, is that correct?
The only thing we're changing in that is the meter installation, the tap-in charge, the service availability charge, and the line extension charge is exactly the same because those are costs that are already been paid for. So those were calculated in our initial rate study that Terrawood did some years ago. So the only thing that we're allowed to change that I understand it would be the meter charge because the cost of the meters go up and we didn't buy them ahead of time.
And this is a floating number as it goes up and down. It's going to
Yes.
fluctuate. What is it right now prior to this increase?
I think it's $650 is what the meter installation charge is now, I
tap-in.
believe.
So you're looking at this point in time, it's
It's
about
$100.
$150 increase.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was somewhere around that 550 or 600 something. In the,
Yeah, I don't remember what it is. It's been a few months since I put my eyes on it, but yeah, it's 150 or something like that is what it went to. You may have it in your backup. Reserve,
Thank you,
but-
John. Do you have any other comments?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any questions from the board?
No?
No? Nope. Well, then I'm going to call for a motion to accept this final order number 2305.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There's no opposition. Motion carried. Now, we're going to go to item D2, it's Delta 2. And this is a 2023 price index and pass-through application for Citrus Water Works. And the recommended action at the bottom on page 22 is approve and authorize the chairman to sign final order 2306, approving 2023 price index and pass-through through adjustments of $2,389 for water and total annual revenue for Citrus Water Works. And the packet is attached. And there's some backup. Let me just go to ask Howard, is there any comments you have on this application here, Howard? Have you analyzed this?
Yeah, we went through it and everything seems to be fine. We went through it and everything seems to be fine as far as the numbers crunching. Troy Rendell worked about 30 years for the Public Service Commission. So he's very knowledgeable in everything he puts out. We'll check it, but I've never, in the 11 years I was here, never found where he's ever messed up any of the paperwork on it. So it's a good product here.
Okay. So there's a lot of good documentation here. You've reviewed all of this, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah.
So the final order of 2306, this is on page 32.
Mhm.
And the fourth whereas down on May 8th, 2023, the authority adopted final order 2301, establishing price index of 7.07%. And then on August 12th of 23, they notified us of an intent to submit an application. And on August 12th, they met the minimum filing. And then finally, the recommendation is that the staff recommends approval of the utilities application, which raises the total annual revenue of $2,389, an increase of 5.62% for water. Any questions or comments on that from the board?
I just have one. So to be clear, here we are, maybe 100 days or so from the beginning of 2024.
Yep.
And we're just approving the 2023 rate increase now. I would hope we could expedite this next year without causing too much distress to the customers.
That's a good point. Why don't you comment on that, Howard? Yeah, that'd be better.
Okay, I had left in 2018, I believe, and nobody really understood the different things that had to be addressed. People were working here trying to do the best they could, but they didn't have the training or the experience. Rafeltis had seen that there were a few things that need to be corrected when they reviewed the price indexes. But, it was, once you had the analysis from them, it had to be implemented. And nobody had really done that a lot. So in the short time we had between the end of June and July and August and now into September, we've been catching a lot of the things that need to be done right away, which are price indexes, limit rate proceedings, so that they can capture the
Right.
cost of what they were losing. So, that's why we've accelerated to a monthly meeting instead of a quarterly to try to get that together. And hopefully, if it works well as we think it will, and it seems to be, after the first of the year, then you can go back to quarterly, and then, hopefully everything will be caught up. But right now, we're doing SOPs, and we've got better than 3/4 of those done. So anybody coming in here has a detailed set of operating procedures, how they can get it done. We're changing some of the protocols. Before, you had different people making the site visits that could make a determination. Hey, are they in good shape? Are they in bad shape? Because of the experience of the people. Now that's a different set of people with a different skill set. Now they have to learn, but at the same time, we're trying to turn it around to where it's a more customer friendly, a more utility friendly, office that is going to do the job that was meant to do in the first place.
And I'll echo that. I will say I am confident that going into 2024, this will be the most efficient, effective office you've ever had in the history of the county. And part of that is what Chuck was saying. We inherited, and nobody's fault. There's just been some turnover and some other things. We had files and things like that. So we're dedicated to that. We're getting that where it needs to go. So I'm dedicated to turning. I like to cut red tape. I'm the opposite. I'm not a typical bureaucrat. We got to follow the rules. So we're never on our watch. We're going to make sure that we get this stuff efficiently and effectively. And going into 2024, we're going to get this where we need to go. And you'll see rapid response from us. So it won't be us holding back. We're going to get things done because it's important to, I see this as a partnership, obviously, with the private utilities because they provide an amazing service to the citizens, and we have to do our part too. So at a staff level administration, I am totally committed to that, and my staff knows that. So you're going to see us going into 2024. This is going to be a new day for us to make sure we are efficient and effective, and you're going to see some, I think, amazing results soon.
Well, that's good, and we're glad you're on board, both of you, actually, Cecilia and Howard. I think you've come a long way. They have a room called the War Room, by the way.
Right.
And if you're really nice, you can go in and see what's on the board of the War Room. I was impressed. So I think we're making progress.
When I convinced Chuck to come out of retirement for us, I said, good news and bad. Good news, we need your help. Bad news, you're going to think you're related to me because I have the same last name. I said, but I only want to be related to him if he's got a lot of money and get me in the wheel and things like that. But with no relation. But they are doing an amazing job, and getting these standard operating procedures. I'm a big fan of that. That this office has to continue on. If I'm not here, they're not here. That's important to make sure we're doing that for the citizens.
So I do have one other request, and it's not directly related to Citrus County, but I do think would be great if we could at least put on our schedule to somehow entice, encourage, demand that the state be releasing their price index maximums on a timely basis. They have been very remiss in a long time. And it does float down through the state, and then it comes to us legally. We adopt it, and then ultimately we send out notices. 30 days ends up even more time. Then we finally get to approval, and I think both John, you realize what's happening, and Marshall, you do as well, that by the time that you actually notify your customers of the rate increase, and then you can actually collect the rate increase, it could be over a year. 9 months easily. Businesses should not operate in their new fiscal year, operating on the prior fiscal year's income. You have a right to demand that. You do. We have an obligation to try to comply. So my request is that we set in motion the wheels, and I don't know that mechanism at all, who to do. Howard, you probably know better, but we should be encouraging, if not demanding, that the state issue their maximum allowable rate increases before the detailed calculation submission. Howard?
Okay, the process at Tallahassee. Okay, whereas you see, which might be familiar, you have a final order which gives the authority final say-so over certain issues, and a preliminary order which is basically an advisory document that goes to the BOCC. What happens, unfortunately, in Tallahassee, they have no urgency. What they do have is they will do a preliminary order, and then they have a consummating order. The consummating order is the final equivalent to the final order here, but they don't, like, if they do a rate case, they give it 12 to 15 months, and then they'll go back and review it just to make sure that, everything's still the same. We have tried here, and I think it's very doable, even going quarterly, that having 90 days to prepare it, and 90 days to review it, it can be ready in 90 days to be approved. If you get all the submittals and you meet all the public notice deadlines and everything else, it can be done in 90 days.
On our side.
On our side.
But I'm talking about the time the consummating order is finally released from the state. That sets everything else, the wheels in motion for us.
We could possibly, send something, and I think we have in the past, where the authority asked the BOCC to give this sentiment and a support of, expediting it. But at the same time, it's going to be difficult because they're kind of set in their ways of taking a long time. They've got so many people and so many cases. It's like, okay, you're assigned this, get something back to me in 60 to 90 days, because that's how long we're allowed to do it. So it's just it's something we can definitely do and request, but whether it's going to be done, that's based on the bureaucracy of Tallahassee, I really don't know. But if we can get enough people to do it, enough different regulating utilities, of which is approximately 30 out of 67, then that might be something that we could get some other regulating utilities to buy into. If they get enough correspondence, they might just be persuaded to do something or try to speed up the process.
I think also let our legislators know as well
Yeah.
that it's a top priority for this
Yes.
board here, and I think we have some other pressure points that we can apply to. I think so, but I think we can. I think it's a good goal to try to accomplish.
So internally, I'm going to bring this up just internally as well, and I'll keep the board involved, but it is very important because our audience are the ones that suffer. I mean, a business should not operate under those circumstances. It really shouldn't, unless you guys want to continue that way.
And I think I'm told from the private utilities, that's why this board is so important here. Because if you didn't have what you're doing here, this activity would be going up to the state, which would take months and months and months. So you'd have two issues, So I think that's I think this board and the activities we're doing are going to get things done. Now we just got to try to get the state to think like we think.
Okay, can I ask Marshall? You deal with the PSC. About how long does it take them to get like a price index through, or, you know, LRPs or something like that?
It's handled completely differently. With the PSC, we get notified, I joke, Thanksgiving. It's when we get our notice, how much it's going to be for the next year. When I do my annual report in January, usually takes me the first week of January, I do all my annual reports, I do all my price indexes, and I do all my RAF all at one time, each company separately. Here we do a quarterly RAF, there it's an annual RAF. So I fill that out, I submit it the first or second week of January, right? I can't take effect till the 1st of April. And if they don't have a problem with my math, it's approved. If I don't hear anything, I'm done. I send out my customer notices. I do everything without any response from them. So there's no interaction. Here we wait until they're completely finished before we even start. Here I'm done long before they've even considered being done. So yes, if we had the preliminary order and we started this process, if I know the 1st of January and I submit my annual reports to the office with my price indexes, the problem has been the dates on those forms are imaginary. I don't know when you guys are going to have a meeting, and I don't know when it's going to be approved. So this year, the Public Service Commission reduced a lot of the dates off their forms last year, a year ago. And this year we did. So the dates, there was literally, I changed the date on each form 10 times.
Oh, wow.
Now it's once. So we don't really need that date on there repeatedly through the same set. So that's gone away. But yes, I submit them all the first or second week of January. So what that date is, it's going to be on the tariff sheets. I do later. I just put an imaginary date in because I have no idea. So the ability to do that, I sit down and I do the whole process. I don't do one thing and then come back 2 months later and do the next step. I'm done long before that. So yes, I have to fix the tariff sheets at the end. I have to, the customer letters no longer have dates on them except when you guys vote. So I have to set that date up after that. But yeah, for me to say, oh, the first, second week of January, I submit all this stuff, and then we wait for you guys to have a meeting, which years ago, 5 years ago, that always happened in February and March. And then we went to quarterly meetings, and it wasn't really a big deal, and it just keeps expanding. And I'm like, well, yes, it would be nice if it happened earlier.
So you're saying two things, in my opinion. You're saying, number one, the PSC, the Public Service Commission, is an excellent model in terms of how they operate, aren't you? In terms of the approval process.
I work off their preliminaries. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's basically a 90-day turnaround. If you submit it on January 1, by April 1, and you don't get any complaints, you have by default an approval. That's what you said.
Yeah. Okay. My hearing is terrible, and I'm getting most of that.
Okay.
So I
And the second thing
them.
is that we ourselves should be more efficient. I think we're committed to do that based upon what Steve just said.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I don't have. Yeah, I don't know. It works. And if we can get back to the first part now that we have the office back in order,
We'll get there.
because
Yep.
we've been through a lot of people in the last 3 or 4 years in that position. So having that position filled again, I'm sure this will get better.
Okay.
I'm hoping. So yes, if I submit mine with a preliminary, you guys vote. There were some years that you guys would vote for the price index and Chuck would have it on the same agenda to approve the price index.
Chair?
So instead of waiting till the next meeting, can that be done?
Howard?
Chair?
Yes.
With all due respect, maybe we can table it and we can stick to the agenda. I'll take notes of everything that it's been discussed, and then we can put it and add it on the October agenda.
Well, we're not going to be voting on anything. It's just open
Yes,
comments, okay?
Yes, I can take
So,
all the
yeah, I think
comments
it's a
on the
good idea to
sideline, and then we can go back to our main agenda for today.
I think it's a good idea
Yes.
to at least discuss this and be
Discuss it.
aware of it.
Mhm,
We're not going to vote on anything.
Yes, I'll
But I-
take down
but I would like
everything
it
that
noted in
needed,
the
and then
minutes.
I'll add it on the October agenda.
That's true.
Maybe my suggestion is we can
Sure.
go back to the next agenda on the line.
Well, let's let Marshall finish and Chuck.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's definitely doable. You're allowed so many days to review it, but in the past, we built up a rapport, and I'm going, like on the price indexes, I'm going to be taking a blank index formula, put which line on, or which page and which line that amount comes from out of the annual report, and where it goes on the price index, so that when some of the utilities, every year they need a little bit of help, it'll be there in very detailed explanation how to fill it out properly. That way, it'll speed up the process coming into the office. In the past, it's been able to speed it up because, if you can review it in 10 days instead of 30 or 60, then review it in 10 days and get it done. That's why at one time we could do that. We could have it where you'd approve it, and then later on the agenda, it was a submittal. And it was quicker to get it out that way because at one time it was just me and nobody else. So I had to find ways of just doing a little bit quicker, doing a organized way of reviewing them, and then trying to get them in so that you can do several things at one time and not hold them up at all.
Okay, so I think, Cecilia, basically what you're looking at is that if you could work on a proposal to how to streamline this and bring it up at the next meeting,
Yes.
that would be
I
appropriate.
think that's my suggestion,
Yeah,
to do some
that's-
research internally and
Yes.
then bring it up on the next meeting.
Yeah, we're not going to vote on it, but
Yes.
we're asking you to formulate a procedure and bring it up at the next meeting. That would be very good. And Marshall, thank you for your comments. And John, I see you smiling. I think you agree with most of that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
I would have to add to that, but I mean, I know we're kind of off target here, but since you're going to go down there, Marshall made a good point. When he does his indexing, he works off the preliminary. We need to find out if we can do the same thing here. Can we work off of that preliminary to build our rates? And then, because right now we're working off a final. What makes it different, them working on preliminary as opposed to a final? I think you may want to look into that as well.
Yes, it's very unique because I'm reading the ordinance and I still need to follow the PSC. So it's very like two things that I need to look into it. So that's why I'm suggesting to, just to make sure that we're doing the right thing, to table it for now. I'll do some research. Me and Chuck will do some research and we'll put it on the next agenda so we can present it properly and we have the guidelines
But
followed
you understand
by-
what John just said. though.
Yes, I
Yeah.
did.
And
I
also
did.
remember that ordinances are made to be changed.
Yes.
They can go before the county commission at any time and say, hey, look, we have this issue, we want to change this.
Right.
As long as we stay in line
Yep.
with what the PSC is doing, we can change those ordinances. And that's a simple thing on the county commission. It could be a consent item or it could be, a very simple thing to change that ordinance.
Okay, thank you, John.
Perfect. We'll look at it.
So we have the final order 2306, and the staff is recommending the utilities application for raised total annual revenues to $2,389, and it's an increase of 5.62%. Any additional questions from the board?
No.
Any comments? No. Okay, then I ask for a motion to approve final order 23-06.
So moved.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So where are we? D3 now?
D3.
Delta 3? This is Cinnamon Ridge Utilities. This is a price index and pass-through application, and it's final order 2307. This is Cinnamon Ridge Utilities. And I'll just skip down. This is basically the same format, same type of request, price index and pass-through. There's a recommended action on page 47 of 77. And we've all had this in advance review.
Yes.
Approve and authorize the chairman to sign Final Order 2307, approving the 2023 price index and pass-through adjustments of $9,243 for water and total annual revenue for Cinnamon Ridge Utilities. And I'd like to ask Chuck, Mr. Howard, is there any comments you have about this application?
We met with Cinnamon Ridge Utilities, and we went through the price index, and I showed them how to put it together, and that's when I got the idea about taking a blank and then make it much easier to find all the data and the information and where it goes on the forms. So basically, we sat there, we went over the annual report. So we basically assisted them to put it together. So the first time we did it, there was one glitch. We caught it and we fixed it, and we've gone through it several times now, and it seems to be pretty tight.
So it was a learning experience for them as well then, I take it?
Oh, yes, and it's going to be even more of a learning experience because this will be the first time that they've had a detailed, instruction of where to get the information, where you put it. Okay, in one case, there's you go by the O&M the total gross revenue, and then you go by the total O&M costs. When you annualize the rates, which you have to do if there's been any increase in the rates due to a price index or anything else within the last year, then you have to use the annualized revenues and not the actual revenues.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, I'm going to make notes. Here's when you use annual actual revenues, and then here's when you use the annualized revenues, which is basically you just take what the cost per gallon is, how many gallons they sold during the year, and then you come up with that generalized cost. You're going to have other things in there, because their annualized revenue, I know their annualized revenue was like $90,000 and some dollars. And if you looked at the actual revenues, it's like $142,000. So you have to use the annualized revenue to meet the inflationary figure, and that's what it calls for in the formulas from the Public Service Commission, and that's how they base it.
So I guess the bottom line is you're confident this is a reasonable request?
Right.
Okay. Do we have any questions from the board?
No.
No? Okay. So on page 59 is the final order, 2307. And at the very bottom of that page, I'll read it one more time. Staff recommends approval of the utilities applications, which raises the total annual revenues of $9,243, an increase of 10% for water. I'm going to ask for a vote or a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Second. Okay, any further discussion?
No.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, we're gonna go to D4, Delta 4. This is the, this is a memorandum 2023-02B, updated water and wastewater board meeting dates. So this is very simple and straightforward, the plan for the meeting dates. And this is listed.
They just have October included.
Did I miss it? October 2, that's the only date that's the only date we're listing right now?
Yes,
Does that work?
we have
I
the
thought there was more.
availability, yeah.
Okay,
We just moved the one from previous one,
Yeah.
and then we just changed it to October 2nd to
Okay.
accommodate all the
Sure.
authority and the
did you get
staff.
feedback from the other members that are not here? I mean, any indication that they would or not be?
So far I have a quorum.
You do,
So
Okay.
far as I have a quorum, not unless they
Okay.
change schedules.
okay. So let me have a motion from the board to accept this next meeting date of October 2nd,
So moved.
And seconded.
okay? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Motion carried. Next meeting will be on October 2, 2023. And at 10 a.m. That's a new time for us. I guess it's based upon room availability, is that, yeah?
Yeah.
Are we restricted the total amount of time we take for these meetings? Because it never occurred to me, but maybe I talked too much. I don't
We
know.
usually scheduled it for 2 hours, but it's fluctuate
Okay.
whatever we have an agenda. It's just today we have 3 agenda because of the cancellation, so we
Sure.
have like a biggest one so far that I've been here.
So if you would do the board a favor, if there is a time constraint for any of the meetings in the future, let us know what our cutoff time is.
Will
If
do.
you run the cut, okay?
Will do.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm glad I wasn't at the one, the campground, the glamp ground. That was a tough one, wasn't it?
It was a long night. We have some more coming up.
Okay, we're gonna go to item E1. We have some vacancies available on the board. So how do we approach this one here? Why don't you give us an update of what the course of action is, perhaps, Cecilia? That might be the best way.
So for this agenda, I just want to give you an update that we did the media release. I submitted it to the PIO, Public Information Officer. Back in August 23rd, it was posted. I received a couple application, and it's still gonna be ending on September 22nd. If we don't get any applicants, we're gonna talk internally what's gonna be the next option, and we'll include the authority for that.
Okay. Mr. Howard, any?
You have my application, correct?
Correct.
That's good. Mr. Howard, do you have any comments on this process?
Yeah, I don't know that we're following what we typically will do for other boards. So obviously, the more we can get interest from the public is a good thing for this board. So we're going to use every avenue we can to try to get some good candidates for you.
There was a request, and I don't know if it's possible or not, that the members would be from one of the, not, how did I word that? Is a ratepayer. That's what it was, from one of the companies. That was the request, I think it was. But I know it's impossible to do, but they're just remember that they try to have a person who's actually
Right.
a ratepayer from one of the companies that they represent. So,
It is in the bylaws. It says preferred that
Oh,
they
it
are.
is?
Yes,
Good.
it is.
Good.
We'll look into that, like what Mr. Steve Howard said. We'll look into it, all the applications.
And the other thing that came up before was to try to be as diverse in the different districts.
yes,
And so far, what we've gotten is pretty well diverse. It covers about 4 of the
that's good.
districts.
That's really good.
So, matter of fact, if it works out well and the pool we've got, we might be able to get actually all 5 represented.
Wow.
But, that's another thing I just wanted to remind you that you also asked us to look at too.
May I ask a question? So we have 5, but we actually have 6, counting the alternate, is that correct?
Per the bylaw, we are required to have 5 members, 3 technical and 2 lay members, and the alternate is addition.
Right, I got it, okay.
Okay, and that does not require a vote, so we can go on to the next topic. Any final comments? No? Okay. We're gonna go to item F1, Foxtrot 1, and it's a list of the regular meetings. The next regular meeting is October 2nd at 10 a.m. And it's in this room here. Then there's another regular meeting on November 9th.
That is a mistake.
That's a mistake.
It should be Monday is November 6th. November 9th is a Thursday.
We'll check that. I'll check the calendar, and you are correct, November 6th.
Okay.
And that is the reorganization for November. Just wanted to let you guys know.
Because there is one member that's gonna be really upset that he comes here and it's not there, it's Marshall Hash.
For the record, no.
He wants to be informed of the right day as well, but he is appreciative that we now tell him when the meetings are, right, Marshall?
For the record, November 9th is a Thursday.
Yes,
The
for the record,
Thursday?
I will
Okay.
fix that. For the record, November 6th is the Monday and not November 9th.
Okay, great. And then the third one is on December 4th, 2023 at 1 p.m. in this room. So normally they were at 1 p.m. The first one is at 10 a.m. So just make a note of that. It's 10 o'clock is the next one. Any other items on this, Cecilia, this meeting schedule?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, I think we're at a point in time where we can adjourn the meeting. I just ask one more time, does anybody else have any questions or comments before we adjourn the meeting? No? If not, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for attending.